WEMFradio.com.
Sweet. Hey, I'm Bad P.
And I'm Adam Willis.
And I'm just Johnny.
And this is the Geek Down on WEMF Radio.
Leaping forward bionically.
Leaping forward bionically. Can you leap backward bionically? That's what I want to know.
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay, you know it takes a lot out of me.
Backwards bionically, yeah.
Well, I was trying. You can't really do the Steve Austin backwards, and it just kind of
No.
sounded like who did that? Was that Curly, or was that Shemp? That was a Shemp.
It was a Shemp.
Sounded like
right?
Shemp from the Three Stooges having an asthma attack.
If you could time travel, would you go forward in time to the future, or in the back to relive something and do something differently?
See, that's a tough question because I personally would definitely go forward.
Okay.
But I know I don't want to experience anything that goes that's backwards.
Even to change something?
No.
To mess with it a little bit?
No. It's been done. They had their chance. But if I go forward, that world doesn't want me. You know, I'm not going to know.
They're not ready for two of you.
Well, think about it this way, dude. It doesn't matter the distance. If someone jumped forward from 2000 to now, 17 years. 17 years is nothing, right?
Right.
But an iPhone would blow their mind. You know,
and is Outkast still performing?
Like,
no.
Internet?
Like, damn it.
Okay, well, yeah. Some things still true. What about that rapper Jay-Z? When did he retire? How'd that go down? You know, so stuff like that, man. But,
you're right. The iPhone would be like, is this it? This is the only thing you got? Is you got a phone that you can carry around, though, and it's the entire internet?
Well, okay.
I still got this box computer at my house?
Well, no, you're looking at it from that perspective. Think about it from the perspective of someone from 2007.
Yeah.
2007, oh my God, this phone that doesn't have buttons and can interact with, it's going to revolutionize the world. 10 years later, what, you still on iPhones?
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with you?
It's like, wow, everyone's depressed in the future.
Yeah, seriously, dude. ADHD.
Why is everyone so sad?
Well, ADHD seems to have taken a backseat to clinical depression. Everyone's depressed.
Everyone's depressed. Everyone's on pills and something to make them less anxious. Yeah.
You know,
the things that are bringing us together supposedly are really just making us crazy and sad.
Oh, if only I could have bought stock in Adderall 15 years ago.
We could have retired on that money.
For real.
Yeah, no joke.
All right, but nothing this has anything to do with what we're talking about today. We have, dude, I got reviews for Need for Speed Payback.
We all been waiting for that one.
Well, no, I've been waiting for that one. Now, all I'll say is that delivery was more exciting than the game itself. Speaking of exciting, dude, Johnny, you, my friend, are going to blow our minds with the latest and innovative farming simulation.
We got a farming simulation game.
Yeah, with Stardew Valley.
Yeah, some good old farming, some green thumbing.
So be waited with bated breath for these.
Let's not gloss over this bad joke the man tried to make there.
I do that every time.
Yeah, and that fingering joke. How dare you, sir?
And next, sideswipe.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
All right, no. From what I hear, it's okay, and you seem pretty jazzed about it.
Oh, it's more than okay.
Okay, all right, we'll get the lowdown on that in a bit. We'll get the skinny. All right, and also speaking of skinny, we'll get the straight dope on Hob, which is an action-adventure.
It's an action-adventure game. It's available on a lot of stuff, and it hobbles.
It's the details of the...
No more puns from you, okay? That's enough.
It's the details of the review.
It's the deets. Well, that one's got an extra hook we'll go into in the review itself. But I also got to see, and we're going to talk about this one at length, American Vandal. Vandal is a Netflix series that came out recently. Best I can describe it as is if Pete and Pete was made by HBO.
Which is a perfect way to describe it, I think. You know, when I think of, like, if someone would, describe a time period or a certain zeitgeist, someone to say, define the 90s in, like, an image or a song, it would be the opening to Pete and Pete.
It's got to be. Good call.
It's got everything. It's got the kind of the crappy indie band playing on the lawn, and it's got like the suburban thing going, and then the two kids, and
it's also got that sense of the ice cream man being one of the most important people in the town ever.
On the planet, sure.
Yeah, every kid in school has a nickname.
Yeah, and Danny Tamborelli, who seemed to be everywhere in like '95.
Well, I can't hate on that kid. He did a lot for a weird ginger with no soul. So much.
He did more so than any others I can name. Danny Tamborelli, we appreciate you.
We have all that waiting you, but I'm gonna kick it over to my man, just Johnny.
Yeah.
Now you got to break this down for me, because as far as I understand it, Stardew Valley looks like a standard farm simulator. It sounded like a standard farm simulator. You're saying it's not, and you're not the only one.
No, it's so if you've played, or if anyone is familiar with Harvest Moon series, and then there's this other series that sort of spawned off from that, where it's a little bit more sci-fi. I forgot the name of it, but essentially
Sci-fi moon harvest. Sci-fi harvest moon.
It's not too far from that.
Okay.
There's a moon in there, I believe. I think it's like runic moon harvest or runic harvest or something like that.
That sounds like
or
a horrible name for a game.
Yeah, it does.
Something weird like that.
All right. Or wait, no, hold on. Maybe I'm off base here now. When it says runic moon there, are you mooning people? Is that what's going on?
It's more farming.
Oh, okay. All right.
More,
My hopes up, Johnny.
there should have been more mooning. It would have been more interesting.
So the Harvest Moon series is all the way back to the Super Nintendo days. It was a farming game on the Super Nintendo, but it's a little bit more than that, where you are not just farming and raising crops and raising animals, and you have a barn and all that stuff, but it's also a dating simulation sort of interwoven in there, and that is Harvest Moon. Stardew Valley is essentially a huge collection of fans who are just like so... They fell in love with Harvest Moon and decided to make their own Harvest Moon game, and that is Stardew Valley, where it is so much like that Super Nintendo Harvest Moon, where it's a 2D isometric view where you're going around, you're planting trees, planting crops, you can build up. So it has crafting elements, a little bit like Minecraft, where you're able to sort of gather resources by chopping down trees, by by cutting weeds, and sort of and holding on to that. And
didn't Facebook have like a farming game on it?
Yes,
early
it did.
days too.
That was
Farmville.
yeah,
Very
that
big
was
game.
long-standing. They even did a South Park about that.
Right,
so
right, and everyone's mom was on it like all day and stuff. You know what I mean? Killing
Dude, I got
time.
so many
Where's
freaking
dinner?
Farmville.
I'm cooking.
Okay, then I guess the most important question is Stardew Valley gonna send me a bunch of obnoxious notifications about like 93 people want me to join their well, I don't know if it's specifically a farm, their Stardew structure.
No, so this is a fully enclosed game where you're not, this isn't like a free-to-play thing where there's these hooks in there to get you to want to play.
Okay.
It's very old school in its way. You pay the one price, which is $15, and you're done. You have the full package here, and there's almost like no end to this game. It's kind of like The Sims. Are you familiar with The Sims?
Oh, come on, man. Yes.
All right. So you're kind of like, you create a character first, and then you're living the life of this character. They live the city life. This is like the very early story it's like the first 5 minutes of the story.
Yeah.
And you're living in a city. You got tired of living in a city, doing the 9 to 5, and your grandfather, whatever, dies and gives you his farm. Yeah.
It's like this is the exact plot for Pootie Tang, isn't it?
No. You know what I'm getting here. Everything literally everything you just described is the plot for the handsome male love interest in every Lifetime almost every other Lifetime and every Hallmark movie, where a woman who works in the city and she's busy. She's just so busy with city life, and she's a busy executive, and she's got to go away to the country to get away.
Even the Ninja Turtles went to the country.
Yeah, nobody there understands her except the one really handsome, really buff guy who left the city to come to the farm and really reconnect with his roots, because his grandfather, his uncle, or someone, someone left them a farm property, so they left their past in the city in this like really upscale urban area with a lot of life to come here and live a simpler existence.
Oh yeah,
that's exactly what you described right
now.
now.
You love this genre too. I can see it in you.
No, I just know tons about it.
Sweet Home Alabama with Reese Witherspoon is yours.
Oh,
right?
stop that!
McDreamy's in that one too?
No. It's all just too ridiculous.
It's exactly that in the setup, and they even
you can play out a Hallmark movie.
They even throw in like a little bit of like contemporary sort of what's the word, allegories for what's going on today in the smaller sort of middle America towns and stuff like that.
Okay, so it's a game with a political agenda.
Just a very slight sort of sprinkling of that.
All right. So why is your
seasoning? It's like a nice light seasoning.
The evil tax assessor who's coming to take your farm. He's bright orange.
No,
with
it's actually
with like a broom head for hair.
It's actually your farm is in this town, and in the town there's this this small like mom and pop general store shop, and there's other places, and then to the other side of the town is like this big corporate supermarket that's there and is trying to sort of outbid, and they're lowering their prices and offering you and the customers the better deal. Come here, we have half off day or whatever. And it's not in your face. It's a little bit there. It's not part of the main story, or at least not as far as I've played into it. But it is there, and there's other elements there where
Man, you walk into the general store. Hey, I'd like to buy some carrots. Corporations are evil. Buy beets.
The beet is the most passionate of vegetables. What?
And then the town itself is a little bit run down, and sort of you have a collection of different tasks to do. So there's no real direction. You get like these little quests of the mayor of the town tells you, oh, just go talk to all the townspeople.
There's a mayor of this town like that?
What's that?
There better be a mayor.
Yeah, there's a mayor.
Mayors of these small towns? Okay.
The town is run by the evil businessmen from this corporate factory. That's why.
Yeah, they have their own little market over there, and every now and then the owner of that market will like poke their head and say some
something racist.
Some stuff.
All right, so what I'm getting right now, it sounds like a very amusing game, a very quirky game. Probably the art sounds really fun. It sounds like an amusing time waster, but I'm not getting like why you're so jazzed about this.
It's it's hard to describe. It's kind of like describing why The Sims is really fun and really addictive.
Well, I know why The Sims is really fun and really addictive, because I can manipulate fake people to make them sleep with each other and then kill.
Well, you can kind of do some things like that. So it's more than just a farming game. You're also, so it has that whole crafting element, it has the whole farming element, but then there's this whole dating simulation part to the game where you can pretty much pick and choose who you want to marry and have kids with.
Yeah, you mentioned
So
that earlier.
and it could be anyone.
The drive, do you think, for this game? Is the
That's
dating
one of
part,
them.
not the...
It's very open-ended as to how you want to play it. So if
it's
you're
wait, you're saying it's Stardew Valley, brought to you by FarmersOnly.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds exactly.
And you can mine as well. So mining is another major aspect.
This is
of
Trump's
the game.
America, actually. I think. What about the miners? What
Trump's
about
America.
the miners?
You can go into the mine.
Brought to you by the RNC.
And the mines are infested with monsters, so that drives the combat element of this game. So it's really like if you want to focus on farming and do nothing but farming and building up your farm and building new farm buildings, like building the mill and building the a tool shed and stuff like that, you can do that. If you want to focus on finding the perfect husband or wife, you can do that. If you want to focus entirely on combat and going deeper and deeper into this mine and seeing how deep this mine goes and coming across these tougher and tougher enemies, you can do that as well. And while you're going down, if you bring a pickaxe, you can mine the resources and get the gems in there.
What? Oh, that's not what
that's
not what you implying. Never mind.
No,
Sorry.
you can't
Sorry.
kill the townspeople as much as you'd like. But what you can do,
promised me pickaxe murder. How dare you, John?
But what you can do is you can actually gift the townspeople items, and you have to sort of figure out what items they actually appreciate and which items that they like in order to further boost your relationship with them. And as you level up,
it's not just dating sim. I'm romancing the whole town.
You can romance
Go
the
ahead.
whole town.
Universal gigolo.
Yeah.
Like, what you got there, lady? Looking mighty fine in that sundress. What you got there, fella? Looking mighty smooth in them overalls.
Oh, they have some
Piggy?
weird requests.
I look at that curly tail. Oink, oink. Yeah.
They'll ask for like fish and whatnot, so you have to go and fish and get like.
Look mighty scaly in that fish.
Yeah. And there's different fish too,
blah.
right? There's freshwater and there's saltwater fish. And
I feel like I could do very bad things in this game.
Yeah.
And
sounds like your wheels are turning.
And then there's this seasons element to it, so you're farming in the spring, the summer, and the fall, and then in the winter it's a very different type of game because you can't farm anymore in the winter, but you still need to generate money in some way to keep yourself afloat. And there's this finance system to it too. So everything you're farming, you're then selling in order to raise capital to either further expand your farm or further expand your house. You can improve your house. There's a cooking element to this game where you can make many different recipes.
Okay,
this sounds way too
game.
realistic for me to actually enjoy. Like, it seems too based in reality of well, if the crops don't come in, you're not going to have any money.
Well,
you know what I mean? You're going to have to pick this partner who's going to be the right person. So I usually play games or do any sort of entertainment kind of a escapism.
Mhm.
Do you play this? And did you sit down and enjoy it? Is this something
Yeah,
that
it's very enjoyable. I've played a decent amount. My girlfriend has played quite a bit more
like
than me.
how
She
much? Yeah, how much time?
really
It
likes
sounds
it.
like something that if you're into it, you're putting in not just like a few hours, but like a lot of hours.
I feel like
Oh, it's immediate. It is
it's like
immediate.
Johnny opens up
This
his save
sounds
game,
like-
and Johnny has created one farm. He opens up his girlfriend's. She has created Kellogg's, the industry.
Yeah, it's like you play it the amount of time it actually takes crops to grow.
Oh,
You know?
it's quick. It's very quick to get returns, right? It takes so you're playing. You have a certain limited number of actions that you can do. It's based on your energy, so you have a certain amount of energy that you can expend each day, and then you have to go to sleep in order, and then the next day you'll get your energy back, and then you have to sort of also do time management, right?
Mhm.
So as you're playing each day, you can't pause the time and sort of or just stop and just watch things go by. The time will pass and it'll go into night, and then you have to go to sleep, otherwise bad stuff will happen, or creatures will come out and they'll attack you and stuff like that. So it's also a time management game as well as all of those other things. So you have to sort of pick and choose what you're going to do each day.
Okay, see,
And-
now you've sold me. A lot of this sounds more appealing than the initial description.
Yep.
And simple farm simulator sounds banal. Simple dating sim sounds banal. A little more of the exploration aspect that you emphasized really started a job with me. But now the fact that all that is optional for the user, that's what I'm hearing. That you may have sold me on this.
Yeah,
So-
it's very optional. You play as however you want to play is how the game will allow you to play. You can do a lot of different things. If you want to go farm heavy, you can go farm heavy. If you want to be more sociable, you can do that. There's a bar, you can go there, you can drink.
Can I fight?
Maybe.
Oh, you're playing the game wrong, Johnny.
I don't know, but what you can do is
gotta go to bars. You find the biggest, toughest looking guy. You
What-
punch him in the face.
This is Roadhouse, like Patrick Swayze at the door.
Exactly.
I will say
you find the double deuce. If it doesn't exist, you make the double deuce.
I will say
Was
you
this
can
in Jasper, Wyoming?
you can stalk other people too. So each of the
Oh, back to the dating sim.
Yeah. Each of the individual townspeople have their own routines that they do on a day-to-day basis, and you can sort of follow them through. There's this one guy that works at the supermarket, and at the end of every day of the supermarket, he goes and gets himself wasted by himself at the tavern. He's like a very miserable kind of guy, and there's something up with him. I haven't talked to him any further because he has a lot of negative energy.
Weird you out?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
He's weirded out by the game. I haven't talked to him anymore.
No, Adam,
That's
dig this.
right,
I figured out Johnny's gameplay method now. The game offers you all the opportunity to actually do this, but instead of advancing his farm, he's playing Guardian Angel.
Yeah, right. This is touched by an angel. He's walking around
Exactly.
like, you really shouldn't drink as much.
He finds
You drink way too
He's like,
much.
come on, man. It's gonna get better. You gotta keep your head up.
Sounds like the Midwest
There's a
religious
light
thing
at the
going.
end of
Yeah.
the tunnel.
Okay, so we're obviously
There's
having
a
a
church
good time
down there.
with
Go to
this.
that instead.
Okay, so we're enjoying this actual breakdown, but the gameplay itself, what's your opinion? Like the technical specs here.
It's very responsive. You know, you swing your shovel or swing your axe. You're going to strike something. You can turn on various
Literally swing
elements.
like this is for a Switch.
Yeah, you hit a button. No, you don't have to physically. It is
Okay.
all button-based things. I don't even know if there's any motion controls. I didn't use any motion controls on this.
Alright.
I don't even know if it's there. But you can sort of have the UI sort of highlight where you're going to swing in order for the precision element. Because when you are building out your farm and sort of laying out your crops and plowing the soil
Townspeople.
and all
Plowing.
that, you want to make sure that everything lines up nice and be as efficient as possible. It's sort of like a natural thing that happens because there's this time management element to it. You want to be very effective, very efficient at what you do and how you sort of line up your crops, how you take care of your animals, where they're positioned, fencing off certain areas, making sure that weeds don't get into your garden, all sorts of different things. And it builds up very nicely because you start off with nothing on your farm, and then by
Just
the
a
end
plot
of
of desolate land.
by the end
It's
of
been salted by the neighboring farm.
it's not salted. It's
Oh.
very fertile.
Okay.
Very fertile.
Don't pick on his farms.
but by the end of
Who does he
10,
think he
20
is growing
hours,
crops?
at the end of 10, 20 hours, you look back at your farm and you're like, wow, I made and built all of this stuff. It took a bunch of in-game days, but you sort of see the effort, the fruits of your effort right then and there, like as you're going through it. It takes a little bit of time. Some foods that you can sort of plant and wait for the harvest are very quick. Some of them grow very quickly. Some of them, if you're willing to take the time to let them grow, they will have more return on investment, but yet it takes a bit longer. So there's always pros and cons to everything that you do in here, especially talking with the townspeople. It becomes, should I talk to them or should I go down to the mine? And then there's all of this is sort of fully encased within RPG mechanics of leveling up your skills. So being a better axe swinger, etc., combat, whatever. Overall, I mean, this game is a definite thumbs up. It's a very, very fun game. There's a lot of stuff there for $15.
Not for Adam, I think, but
I just don't think I could do the farming thing in real life or simulated life.
All right, well, it sounds like something I would want to check out, actually, because you can go beyond just farming. I do get what you're saying, the sense of accomplishment in the sense that I actually did something and made something. I created something in this world, but for me, it'd go beyond that. Maybe I'm selling my crops. Maybe I'm interacting with town people. I want to
You'd spend more time in the bar like I would.
He says with a beer on the All right, so what's it available for?
It's available pretty much on everything. It's available on the Xbox One, the PS4, on Steam, and it's available on Switch, which is where I played it. And it's fantastic on all of them. I will say that my girlfriend did have her save file get corrupted. Well, I don't know if it got corrupted.
Man.
Yeah, right.
But she got to a hard point where she can no longer progress because the game crashes. So there's going to be a patch coming out sometime this week, which hopefully addresses that issue. So just be wary of that on the Switch.
Okay, I thought you were going to say she got to a certain point where it wouldn't let her progress past creating General Mills and going for world domination. So I don't know what's going on.
She put 3 years into it. What do you want to give her?
All right, so the game is Stardew Valley, available for, you said, Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation, all over the place.
All over the place, $15. If you pay any more than $15, it's still worth it, but I know it's $15 on Switch and Steam. It might be a little bit more on PS4 and Xbox One.
All right, Johnny recommends it. Okay, now we're going to steer away from Johnny to Johnny.
Yep.
Because, dude, you also got to play this game, Hob, by Runic Studios.
Yeah, so Hob, oh man, this is a beautiful, beautiful looking game. But before I get to that, so Runic is, they've been known for a game called Torchlight and Torchlight 2, so they definitely are skilled and talented individuals.
I love how that's the emphasis, though. They made this game, and they made the sequel, y'all.
Yeah, and a sequel. They made other games. You can look it up.
Okay.
But those are the prominent games, right? Because Diablo 3 came out, and right around the same time, either before or after Diablo 3, Torchlight 2 came out, and Diablo 3 got such backlash that Torchlight 2 actually a lot of people really enjoyed because of it. But Hob, it's very different from what those games were, which were like action RPG, hack and slash style games. Hob is an adventure game with some action elements in there and puzzle elements in there, but very heavy on the adventure aspect, where you're playing as, I don't know what this thing is. It's like a weird robot kid thing.
Well, he's got like mechanical appendages, right? So isn't that... make him some kind of cyborg?
Okay, so in this land that you're in, this very beautiful looking land.
Please. Yep. In a land.
In a land where you're playing as this kid robot spirit thing.
Okay, in Johnny's words. In a land where you're playing as a robot spirit king.
Yes.
Kid thing.
There was this, this corruptive, tentacle, weird poison
I've
land.
I've seen that anime.
Stuff.
Poison land.
Yeah, it's like this weird purple goo comes in and sort of corrupts the land around you, and it ends up taking out your arm.
Oh wow! Okay, so it starts off like you want a piece of this thing's ass because it's a Captain Ahab story.
Yes.
Yeah, so it takes out your arm, and there's also like this weird mechanical, sort of like a granite golem robot thing that is sort of with you along the way, and then they rescue you, and they give you this creature gives you its arm. So
Damn, all right, that's friendship.
yeah,
Adam, we tight. I'm not giving you an arm.
Well, is it a creature that can grow appendages back like the lizards can? You know what I mean? Because if like
Okay.
a lizard
Yeah.
gets his tail taken and then gives it to me, I'm like, that's not the same thing.
Yeah, I can't even use a tail.
You know,
No,
so I don't trust this already.
Throughout the rest of the game, it doesn't have an arm, so
Okay,
it's
so it's
missing
just
its
Damn,
its
that is
arm.
gangster.
Yeah, so it gives you its
It's like, you
arm.
missing an arm? I got you, son.
Just,
Here, take this one. It's like, that's
was
the
it,
wrong
you
arm.
remember National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1 with Emilio
With,
Estevez
yeah.
and Sam Jackson? He's like, grenade. He just rips his shoulder off and like hands it to the girl in that sex scene. Oh, it's so funny. Anyways.
So it gives you its arm in order to rescue you, and then you wake up, and now you have this new arm, and this arm essentially gives you all of the mechanics sort of center around powering up your left arm that you've been provided by this stone golem creature thing, and so it's like it's presented as an isometric 3D game with platforming elements, and part of those platforming elements centers on your arm and how you utilize your arm.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be you have to enhance your arm in order to gain new aspects that allow you to better traverse the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, you power up your left arm, one of the first ones you get, in order to smash through walls or to smash through certain parts of the floor. Or you might get another power-up that allows you to sort of dash teleport across a long distance. So as you're going through the game, you're unlocking new abilities to power up your arm gauntlet thing that allows you to progress and solve more complex, but they're not really complex, but to solve more puzzles and to sort of work your way through the game as you are clearing this land of corruption. And that's essentially the ultimate goal.
All right, so then is it more along the lines of, because what I'm getting is you replace the arms and it helps you with the new challenges. That's more along the lines of like a Mega Man. But also the specific arms do specific things. Games like Bionic Commando have been doing this for years. What sets Hob apart from those then? Because it sounds like just another run-of-the-mill.
Gameplay-wise, it isn't really doing anything new or interesting. The combat is sort of... you get a sword, too. So that's the other thing you get. So it's like slightly hack and slashy, but you have to sort of read the tells of the enemies. They telegraph it to you. You have a roll button to sort of dodge out of the way. You get a shield in order to block the attacks that are coming in. So you have to sort of manage and sort of assess the enemy that you're going up against, and whether you should block their attack or dodge through their attack and then break through their defenses, because some of them will also have shields or pieces of armor that you need to break away before you can actually deal damage to them.
Mm-hmm.
So the combat side of it, it's not something that you haven't seen before, but what you haven't seen before is sort of this world. The world and how you sort of traverse it and how you sort of cleanse the land and build up on the world via the puzzles that you're solving.
Cleanse the land doesn't sound promising.
I'll
tell you that.
That is the unique aspect of it, because everything else is really,
you do cleanse the land.
You do cleanse the land.
Of infidels.
Of purple
of the non-purities?
tentacles, of the tentacles.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah. So, yes, what different things it has that makes it truly unique? It's really the world that makes it unique. Gameplay-wise, there really isn't anything that you haven't seen before in other places. It sort of cherry picks from a bunch of different areas. So the full collection of gameplay elements is going to make it somewhat unique. But for the most part, you've seen these elements implemented in other games. But the world is incredible. The way they have designed this world, man, it's as you are cleansing the land or solving a puzzle.
You got to find a different way to say that.
Yeah, you can't.
These land
out there.
so there's like these pieces to the land itself, and underneath them, it's almost like this major continent of gears and mechanisms that allow you to sort of tectonically shift the planes of the world up and down.
It's like Dark World,
and
remember?
I know what it's talking about. Dark City.
Dark City, sorry, yeah, Dark City.
That is a gangster power you have, though, if you can do that at will.
Well, you're not doing it. You're as you're going through the world, you're sort of activating these levers or activating these switches or pushing these gears into place in order to transform the world, in order to allow you to progress to the next particular
so you literally
area.
change the topography of your world there to get to certain points and places.
Yeah, so you're changing. It's exactly that. You're changing topography in order to reach new areas, and you can sort of see
that's cool.
into the distance these things. And as you're changing it, you'll see it happen right in front of you, and you'll see this landmass. And sometimes it gets a little bit aggressive in how the world is sort of transforming. Where you'll
why does that mountain look like it's giving me the finger?
Well, it'll go. A mountain will essentially go from the caverns below and just like rocket to the top and sort of pass its sort of resting point and then slam right back down to where it's going to be in a very like I don't know, like a thunderous kind of manner.
So be real. Playing this game, how many times did you like hit the switch, the landmass jumps up in the air, and then it comes back, you're like, oh, I'm going to reshape this, and then like splat, it squishes you?
It doesn't squish you.
No.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. But
he says.
You can fall off the top, and or fall from a high ledge, and if you do that, you'll go squishy.
It's like, I'm reshaping the world.
Whoa! And that is the crux of this game, is watching your character and
fall
sort of
off
playing
the world.
through.
I like it.
I want to see Dark City
Not
again.
that, but like playing through it and sort of solving this world and sort of opening it up and seeing it sort of fit into into place by turning these gears, pulling these levers, and hitting these cranks and stuff like that. The combat it's all right. It's good combat. It's not like anything crazy fun. The puzzles are pretty simple, but they're not overly simple. They're not immediately obvious, but they're definitely not a challenge whatsoever. It's really a game that you're gonna go through and keep moving forward, and there is no head scratching moments. It's just something that it's like a nice trip. It's a very nice adventure that you're going to go through, and it's a spectacle the first time you're going through it. And you can see, in the video, you see the world start to transform.
And who's watching us on twitch.tv/the Geek Down, you can see visual of the gameplay.
It's like the Goonies of games.
The Goonies of games.
It's a nice little adventure.
Yeah, it's an adventure, and you keep going, and there's
there was
these
nothing nice
other
about the
little
Goonies,
creatures.
though.
Nah, man,
Right
that keyboard at the end was a little.
Yeah, that was frightening and gross.
That's some real implications to that.
Yeah, and they start off in this nasty restaurant. No patrons whatsoever.
Yeah.
Weirdo
plus,
dude
they were
eating fish
lucky
heads.
one of the dudes already set one of the booby traps and got killed, so that saved them from having to deal with that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there was no.
They were hooked up.
Yeah, Johnny, you're telling us this is Goonies the video game? Because I'm not jazzed about it all of a sudden. I'm taken aback.
There's no
Chester
group,
Copperpock can suck it.
There's no group of adventurers, so no.
All right. Oh, and you go through it alone, no less.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, just a quick side note, since you brought up the Goonies. Okay, now at the end of that movie,
I'll answer any Goonie question.
The maid finds a bag
Rosalita.
full of diamonds and happily hands them over. Are you kidding me?
I don't know any. So this is not to be racist, but I don't know any Spanish maid.
I don't know any maid. I don't know any maid. Period. And for that matter, neither would I. Just like I found this thing of jewels.
Plus, she prays to God when she finds him too. She's like, no, it strikes her heart, and then she like yells. And...
Like, hey, I found some jewels.
Especially,
here, take them. I'd be like, nope, sorry, your house is getting.
Especially, they were so mean
Peace,
to her.
I quit.
Because Ralph the Mouth just went up to her and said that they hide all the drugs in these drawers, and like if you do a bad job, they're gonna keep you in the attic with the cockroaches.
Yeah, Ralph was a dick. You don't help them.
So
kids.
after being treated like that, she still gives them all the jewels at the end.
If anything, if I was her, on my way out, I would pay the Fratellis bail.
There is some holes to the Goonies that need to be talked about.
Exactly.
Especially the missing scene, because at the end of the movie, of course, they said the octopus was very scary. But in the movie, we actually don't see the octopus, but that is a hidden scene that was removed.
Okay, I thought that was just kids BSing.
No, there was an actual scene when they jump off at the end of when they get on the boat and on the ship, they jump off. There's an octopus fight. I think you can look it up on YouTube.
Wow.
Not that you should do that right now, but
no
you
kidding.
Can
so
look
it's Data in like his underwater robot suit fighting a giant squid.
Yes. Yeah,
why would they take that out? That sounds amazing.
Well, why would you take that out and then leave in the part where they reference it?
The real question is, we got so far off the game of Hob
Yes.
right now.
Really far off.
Okay, so tell us, Hob, thumbs
little
up,
break.
thumbs down, because I'm getting kind of a conflicted review from you there. It sounds like it's good, but it has its faults.
It's good. It's a game that you're going to play through the first time, but you're never going to go back to it and play it again because there really isn't much there in the way of replay value.
How long is it?
It's actually pretty meaty. It's got to be at least 15 hours long. It's quite lengthy. I was actually
for an
pretty
action
surprised
adventure game, that
as
sounds
how
kinda
lengthy
short.
it is. Well, it's also a $20 game. So
Okay,
you're
so
not,
it's not like it's not the next Far Cry or something.
This is not, it is not Far Cry. It is not like this big, giant open world game, although it is semi-open-ish. And you can sort of teleport from one part of the world to the other, and sometimes you do have to do a little bit of backtracking if you want to find extra elements to help level your character up and stuff like that, where you get additional power-ups that are hidden away, and you can only access them through newer abilities that you gain later on in the game. It has those types of things. It's not a game about that. It's very much a very linear, here's the next area that you're going to go to, explore that area, and you'll have a good time while doing it. It's available on 2 platforms, on PS4 and PC, and I recommend getting it on PC, and even then, there's a big problem with the frame rate on this game where it stutters a whole lot. I believe it has to do with how it's streaming in content and pieces of the level in order to load. It could be other reasons, but I mean, my rig is it's a beast of a rig, and this game should not be stressing it as much. It shouldn't be having any frame rate issues, yet it does have hiccups. So there's stuttering that can happen, and from what I've read on the PS4, it's even worse, so I would recommend getting it on PC. It's not so bad that it's going to ruin your experience.
But it's going to be enough.
It'll be noticeable. It's definitely noticeable. But yeah, as I said, this is recommended. It's worth going through, especially for $20. And if you can wait until some sort of sale and get it for cheaper than $20, absolutely get it. Just know that it's not going to be something that you'll be playing multiple times.
15 hours is a long time, though.
Yeah, 15 hours is a long time. If you're in the airport. Okay, so a solid thumbs up from just Johnny. And we should note, we mentioned earlier, but this might very well be the last game from Runic. So if you were a fan of them, and
the hell with you.
and not just Torchlight, but the sequel. Sorry, just the emphasis on that. Check it out. It's in the same vein. It's in the spirit of.
You could tell from the art style that it's the same team that made Torchlight. But yeah.
Okay.
Right. It is a shame that the team had to close up shop. Because this.
I mean, I know all too well the pain and BSness of being in a game company that goes under.
Yeah.
I've got 3 game companies and 6 companies altogether under my belt that have gone under, so that's fun.
Maybe it's you at this point.
Oh, stop that! Stop that right.
I'm
thank you very
joking
much.
with you, brother.
This guy, the pain out of the pain.
Hey, just drive that a little bit deeper in your ribs there.
All right, so now on that fun topic, we have another game to bring to you, dude.
Oh yeah.
Need for Speed
Am I the only one that
Playback.
didn't play a game this week?
I feel like you missed out, my friend, because they were in full effect.
I did, sorry.
Yeah, Need for Speed Payback is the latest game from Need for Speed. It actually just came out like literally last week.
I love the Payback.
Payback.
The title, like you need the speed so bad that someone did you unjust. And
I thought it meant that's how people will feel once they actually bought the game. I kind of want my money back.
Hey, the movie Payback actually itself with Mel Gibson is quite good.
The movie Payback, if they had some clips from Payback in this, it might be a better game. It's not terrible, but it's inspired by like straight to DVD action film. I'm kind of a delinquent, but I run the straight and narrow. I'm a criminal with a code, and I've been set up by criminals that don't.
What was that really bad like car movie that Jesse Pinkman, the guy who did
Need for Speed.
Yeah, was it? Yeah.
Completely unrelated to this game itself, but Need for Speed.
So bad.
Oh no, it's
not
a good
quality,
movie.
Apparently.
Well, no, it looked very pretty. Like the car chases and stuff were neatly shot, and
but you gotta believe that this actor is coming out of jail as this badass guy.
Man,
like,
the whole thing. Okay, you know what's a better car movie than that? The very first
Anything
Fast
else?
and Furious movie, and I'm talking in Prestige. And if you've seen that movie, you know how big a joke that is.
The whole series, except for Fast Five.
Oh, you stop that right now. The whole
Except for
series
Fast
is
Five.
beautiful.
It's except for Fast
No,
Five.
Fast and Furious. The fourth one was the terrible one.
All right, so
They're
is
all
the
terrible.
story
This
on
is-
this any worse or better than any of the Fast and Furious?
Anytime you tag
Well,
Payback
none
into
of them
the
have
title,
been
it's
none of them have been really hard on the story itself. Then the closest I could tell that really tried to emphasize, no, this is okay, no, that's BS. I was gonna say your Need for Speed Rivals, but the one that came after that, the Need for Speed reboot from a couple years ago,
Yep.
that one actually focused on you're building yourself up and you're interacting with these real world like quote unquote racing icons, just people who are well known in the field, and the interstitials were like live action video of you meeting people, celebrities, and these known racing figures, and it was corny as hell.
Oh,
I mean, well, seriously, it's like every conversation ends with, "Hey man, it's good to see you, Adam. I hear you do good things in radio. All right, I gotta go. Hit it one time. Boom.
Yeah.
All right. Hey Herb over there, I hear you work with like audio equipment and stuff, man. You're doing awesome stuff. You take care. I'm gonna drive now."
so it sounds like nothing but characters.
Watch me
on
shift
coke.
gears.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. This one is a little more of a down to earth, of a less sensationalized story. But it plays out like the most hokey. I won't even say straight to DVD because at least in this day and age, people have learned from their mistakes. I'll say straight to VHS/beta.
Oh,
Yeah, like a shoddy cop
Straight
drama.
to beta. I haven't missed
Straight-
that.
straight
missed that series.
Straight to beta because a lot of the stuff here is just like, man, I wrote this screenplay when I was 11 and I can't wait to get it made. It's like, okay, cool.
And I'm 35 now.
Exactly.
I still have good taste.
And that doesn't put down a good game, but this is not a great game. It's just a good game, and that's being generous, I think. And let me get to that in a second. The story is one of the main problems, which is why I emphasize it first, because people aren't going to a racing game for the story. That's not really the thing that's going to drive us forth, but that's supposed to lead into the interesting challenges and the fun gameplay, and we test out the mechanics and put it through its paces, and then the racing itself. And all that should be really accentuated by the concept of you're part of a three-person team, which each has their own specialties. One is the street racer, one is the getaway driver and the drag racer, and one is like the off-road guy. So each of those should be a different aspect of the gaming, which could give you a well-rounded game. I was jazzed when I was introduced to that initial concept. I'm thinking, okay, this isn't just a standard racing game like Need for Speed has notoriously been. Each game has been. Most of the previous games have been set along one line. Hot Pursuit was all, I'm being chased, and it's one-on-one chasing and stuff. Rivals was a rehash of that. What I really liked about this was the fact that it seemed like they were varying and putting all in one game, and the fact that the Need for Speed reboot was very pretty. Like, look, it was a gorgeous game, but it felt very enclosed. It felt very small.
Okay.
And this thing is like, shoot, man, like GTA 5 proportions.
Yeah, just like way too much a little bit.
Yeah, it's just there's so much.
Actually, it
track.
takes me less time to get here from Medford. Then you can get across the map in GTA.
Well, one of the things that bums me out about it is it's a beautiful game, and I love the landscapes and all the attention paid to having open tracks where you can actually just drive. It's a driving game, but a lot of it is in desert and on mountainsides. And you'd think mountainsides, I get a good view. Like, yeah, but when I have to drive to the mountain in real time. So I spend seriously. I think in total right now I've played the game maybe 50 hours, and in that 50 hours, at least 10 of them, and I think that's being very generous. Yeah, exactly. It's been driving 2 different challenges. If you fail a challenge, you have to.
You should be able to get to one challenge to the next in the time it takes you to get through a pack of ramen. That's the way I see it. You know what I mean? If you can't do it, and then you're probably wasting time.
Maybe if you eat very slow. If you count the boiling time, then yeah, you're good there. But it's one of the things that takes you out of the experience, and that's one thing that really bugged me because I love racing games so much.
Do you?
And I was really excited for this because there's a lot of bad ones, but when you find a good one, that is just the
What's
grail.
your favorite racing game?
My favorite game?
Yeah.
Oh, good question. Well, Burnout Revenge right now.
that's a good one.
It was a great one, but it's also a game that's 12 years old now. As of this review, it's 12, just under 13 years old. So it's been forever and a day. I say in recent years, It's one that almost nobody played. Need for Ridge Racer Unbounded.
Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer's always been my favorite game series, and it's always been like the underdog to a more popular series.
Yeah.
And it started with like the first Ridge Racer Revolution. Was one of the first PlayStation racing games, and it was fun as hell. But you also had games like Gran Turismo coming out, where folks were like, oh my god, racing games can be serious.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Mario Kart. And I'm actually in like what feels like a vehicle, and I can change cars to realistic things. This is going nuts, and it's always been like one step behind. You know, Ridge Racer R4 is a game that almost nobody played, but I accidentally ditched classes in high school because I was so caught up in playing that I missed when I was actually supposed to leave and go to. All I'm saying is it's a series that's always had something that was great, but always got overshadowed by someone else that was more famous at the time, more influential at the time. And ironically enough, the thing that overshadowed Unbounded was the last Need for Speed.
Oh.
Yep. Which could have been the greatest game ever, but it promised a lot and it delivered less than folks had hoped. This game was the one to take the reins and retake the crown of Need for Speed and finally bring home. And no, man, dude, they fall flat. It's a bummer. But that doesn't mean it's a bad game. Let me get into the specs right now. First of all, the thing that everyone's griping about, and I really have to call attention to, is the upgrade system. You start off with these 3 racing classes, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get different cars in each, and I'm going to be able to do great things. Well, it starts off with you have your cars, and if you got the DLCs that came with the pre-orders, then you maybe have a few bonus cars, which are better to go use in the races. Trust me, because they start you off with the crappiest boxes. That you could actually find, you could ever find. And then there's derelicts. You can find derelict car chassis and parts that you can actually build out a few different quote-unquote supercars. So you think, I'm going to do those, and I'm going to race, and it's going to be great. So much was put into the multiplayer that all that in the single-player campaign becomes tedium. It starts off with the kind of corny story, which I can forgive because I'm really just here for the racing. But you have to go through all the little challenges that gives you, which is fine if that's what you're into. If you're not, if you just want to race, then dude, that is a solid like 2 hours of just pointless pain in the assdom before you get to enjoy the game that you paid good money for.
Was it like busy work to pad out the single player experience?
Not to pad out. It feels, well, you get there. There is a lot of that later on. It's a lot of grinding in this.
Oh, okay.
But at the start, it's mostly just to teach the player this is the new lengthy track display. And honestly, you know all this if you played Grand Theft Auto 3. No, San Andreas.
Yep.
Because the whole thing of taking part in like 3 different fronts and then a lot of desert in between.
Yep.
That's what they've rehashed here. So it's like, we're familiar with this. Let us just get to the game. That's one thing I think they really fell flat on. What was really good about it, though, is once you actually get to it, there's a lot of open exploration you can do. They've just peppered the entire map with these mini challenges. You find different jumps, and you can jump a certain distance, and you earn stars. Stars earn you money and experience. You find speed traps where, at a certain point in the land, you can match a certain MPH or KPH, whatever you want to set it at. Yep. And you get, bam, you made that because you were just here at the right speed at the right time. Doesn't account for NOS. So you actually have to get the car to that speed. You can't just turbo into it.
Okay.
Yep. And you get it's a quick bit of change in your pocket, a little more experience. So it keeps you gradually climbing, which is good. But then when you want to use that experience, you want to use that money you've earned, you can buy new cars, which until you reach a higher level is kind of negligible, quote unquote, benefit. Or you can buy, and this is what really gets me, speed cards. And that's how you upgrade your automobiles. Speed cards. The whole thing is brought down to this weird kind of card game-esque system.
Yep. Where
I buy a card. If it's a level 2, it'll give me this much and this much. It might detriment these stats, but it'll benefit these stats. Versus this level 3 card is made by this manufacturer. Manufacturer make is important because it's along the same lines as the manufacturer makes of guns in Borderlands, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Okay. To anyone who hasn't played Borderlands, in Borderlands it's a first-person shooter game with objectives, but each gun type is made by different companies. In-game company games, in-game company guns have benefits and detriments in themselves, and they each have their own quirks. Same thing with the manufacturers of these cards. But unlike in Borderlands, you don't physically see the benefits and the you don't physically see any differences in them. They're just things that boost your stats or lower your stats.
There's no cosmetic aspect to it.
There isn't. And that was kind of a neat little thing that got me. What I'm getting at is Need for Speed Payback is a lot of promised awesomeness that really fails to deliver. You know, it's like, Johnny, man, it's your birthday. You know, me and Adam are gonna make you a cake. It's gonna be incredible. And cool, all right.
Yeah.
we made you a 6-foot cake and we wheeled it in. Awesome. And no naked people are jumping out of it. It's like, okay, well, maybe at least it's a really good cake. And then you dip into it, and what is it, chocolate? No, it's carob. Exactly. Exactly. So it's like that. It's like you go into everything, you go into this game hoping everything is going to be amazing, and everything looks amazing. The game is pretty. It's not as stylish as the Need for Speed reboot was, and I think that's because they tried to put more into the gameplay than the aesthetics. So you can feel that there's a lot more game here. It's a lot longer, but there's also a lot more grinding. And then once you get into it, you find you spend more time grinding than having fun in the different game modes.
Do you think the grinding was impacted by the microtransactions that they have in this game?
The microtransactions in the game specifically are more using in-game currency than real-world currency.
Okay.
But that's definitely one part of the grind that really, I don't know, it undercuts the gaming experience. Because, dude, it's a racing game. I want to race. Racing is the fun part. But I'm spending more time worrying about, okay, I have to take these side races and redo these 3 races that I already did, because I'm just not at the level to qualify for this next story race. Okay, well, can I go online to do it? No, because I'm still at this base level where everyone else that has time to play around the clock is much higher than me, and the matching is...
Oh, wow. That doesn't sound fun.
No, but that's a problem that a lot of games has had. Need for Speed showed inklings of having learned from that in the past, so seeing it now in Need for Speed Payback shows it to step back, which is unfortunate, because this game really had a lot of promise going in. Besides that, there's just a lot of idiosyncrasies that kind of tick you off. If you're like mid race or something, and you go too close to the edge of a map, you know, it restarts you, it repositions you when you like fall off a cliff or something, and you'll do a lot of cliff falling. To be kind of, I guess, forgiving, but it's a little too, I don't know, overprotective.
Yep.
In that, like, you take a jump and it looks like you're going close to the edge. Well, I was fine, but hey, bam, now I'm back in the middle, but I'm also behind all the other racers because he took me out of that spot. You know, stuff like that. And one thing that, I guess the final thing I'll say, which pissed me off, because believe it or not, I did enjoy this game, most of it, and I'm still playing, is you can't just be good at racing games. I'm in races where I should be able to at least have a solid chance because of my own skill. I'm good at drifting. I should be able to hold my own here. I'm good at general drag racing. I should be solid in most of this. You know, off-road may pose a challenge, but I'm good at compensation and paying attention to the quick adjustments of my fellow racers. So I should be able to succeed without having to grind the upgrades and get this nuanced bit of extra top speed, this extra bit of acceleration here. You know, and you can't do that. Because if you're I think I guess below, maybe I put it about 4 or 5 points below a set recommendation level for any particular race,
yep,
then the AI just rubber bands right past you.
Oh.
It's ridiculous.
Damn thing's rigged.
I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. But the high points are, it does have a varied gameplay. There are different racing styles, and playing the different characters has the advantage of it, at the very least, since they're all very similar in their duties, requirements, objectives.
Yep.
You get different sound bites and reactions from them. So that's a mild amusement, but at least it is something that changes it up. And if you're just going in for the racing, eventually when you get around the grinding, when you get around the corny storyline, as a racing game itself, the races are fun. A lot of them are challenging. There are a few, especially on the mountains, that are set less towards your ability to like control speed and maintain, more towards memorization of the track. I raced this for the 5th time in a row, so now I know that this big curve has a shortcut that I need to use, or else I'm gonna fall off every time, unless or I gotta stop and go 2 miles an hour. Stuff like that. So
kind of like a in between of a hybrid between more arcadey style racing game versus more simulation. Where simulation you have to memorize the courses. Arcade, it's take it as it goes. Left turn is coming up. That's what you're gonna do.
Yes, indeed. There's a lot of Forza style gameplay in this. When even like down to the jumps, you have to plan your landing so you don't careen, but you also don't do too much damage to your car. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest benefits they have is your car will get damaged. Like, you can beat this thing to hell and it will show, but it won't affect the performance. So you don't have to worry about, well, I got to drive all the way to a garage on the other side of the map now so I can actually use the damn thing. And also I have to drive there on a car that can't drive, so it's going to take me forever. No, the car will always run. It'll just look really beat up the more you beat it up.
Yep.
But believe it or not, I actually give this a thumbs up, because despite all that, if you're in it just for a racing game, a racing experience, eventually when you get there, it's a good racing game. The problem is getting there, you'll have to grind, you'll have to spend these cards and really build up. Finding the derelicts is damn near impossible, because you find the derelict and then it gives you hints via picture, via image. So you have to drive around the map and then memorize like the different aspects of
the layout of
landscape. Yeah, there's a trailer here that's near a windmill. So it's the only trailer near a windmill. So the 17 other trailers I found in various spots in this map, I gotta try to remember somehow that it's not that one, it's this one. So I can go there and get a single part for this derelict car that I didn't have to rebuild. And then once I get the derelict car parts, all of them, and rebuild the derelict, now I've got to upgrade it just like any other car.
So it seems the idea of exploring and trying to find something off of an image and exploring the land and sort of studying the land, that I like, but it sounds like the reward for doing so is not worth it.
Yeah, and you know what? These are supposed to be supercars. I figure it's the type of game they intend for you to play for a long, long time. And maybe in 3 years, I'll think this is the best game ever. But right now, it's a pass, but like just barely, like just crawl. Like, this is a thumbs up. Yeah, like they just got over the line with such a small margin, And I really hate to do that, because I had high hopes for Need for Speed. Need for Speed has been a franchise I've been following since high school, man, like way back. And the soundtrack is the best thing out of this. The songs were dope. Tell me about that racing game. How'd you like the racing? Well, the songs were great. Yeah, a lot of good songs, a lot of underground and indie stuff, some mainstream stuff. The only one that irked me, because usually there's a few, but the only one that got me here is a song that through no fault of its own and through no fault of the game, but it's like the default start song for some of the mountain races, and it's the song from a commercial that plays right now. That's annoying as hell. I'm not going to sing it because I don't want the earworm to hit you, but it's just like when it pops up in the game, you'll know it. Yeah. But it's Need for Speed Payback. It's available right now. I give it a thumbs up, but just barely a thumbs up by the smallest margin, because there's a lot of tedium and a lot of stuff that will make you just pull your hair out, just curl your teeth. Sorry, fellas. Now that I've sold you on that one.
Yeah, right.
All right, so Adam, I mentioned this next review, and you were actually pretty interested. American Vandal. What do you know about it?
I know the popularity so far of the kind of American crime stories and like dissecting stuff like that. This seems like a very funny kind of satire send up of that. So right away I was kind of interested. And this is, you may have heard of the vandalization story of the person that was drawing dicks all over these cars. It was at a school. Was that at somebody's school? Mm-hmm. And it was all the teachers. They were drawing just dicks across all the cars. And this is kind of like exploring and doing this documentary, following this kid who does this documentary on it, trying to find who does that. Correct?
That's
how I described it.
Nope, you got it correct. This is the story of a young boy doing a documentary when I guess a malcontent in his high school class is suspended and looking at expulsion for committing an act of vandalism that has ended up costing the school over $100,000 in repair
dick
funds.
damages. Yeah,
Exactly. It was a real dick move. And what was that dick move? Drawing, like, spray painting dicks on all the faculty cars in the faculty parking lot. 27 cars, 27 dicks. All right, the proper story breakdown, because they try to church it up, is American Vandal takes a look at the aftermath of a high school prank that left 27 faculty members' cars vandalized. But instead of the typical smashing windows, the perpetrator drew obscene images, the dicks, on the vehicles. When troubled senior Dylan Maxwell is expelled for the crime, an aspiring sophomore documentarian takes it upon himself to investigate the controversial, potentially unjust penalty handed down to Maxwell. And it sounds like a very I'm striking a blow for justice, and I want to make sure that this everyman isn't railroaded by these evil forces.
Well,
and
taking
stuff.
that like sanctimonious type attitude towards like these justice warriors and everything like that are kind of taking over TV and all these shows.
Yeah,
it's applying this to something funny,
and
I think it does it in an interesting way where you can see the humor in it. You know.
Well, no, it was
definitely because it's drawn right on the side of the car.
No, it was definitely played for laughs, and I mean they did take that angle with this kid, and I definitely call out his acting because I really brought him as just this kind of like needle-nosed, pencil-necked weasel who's trying to do the right thing, but he can't escape that like
the fact that
weasel. I gotta get the story at any cost. I don't care who I run over to do it.
Right.
Type of sensibility, all in the name of justice and accuracy.
He's like a butthead. He's a kid you would call a butthead. You know what I mean?
Shove
their head in a locker or something like that. He plays it perfectly.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
He's a kid who, by all intents, should be, I guess, fairly popular. He's involved in all the school clubs, and he's even in that school newscast.
But that's what makes him annoying.
That's what makes him annoying. He's the guy who gets the facts, and then they put him in front of camera.
Yeah.
He's played by Tyler Alvarez. The character's name is Peter Maldonado, and he did a great job embodying that. I'm really hoping that's not him in real life because you poor SOB.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
If that is you.
It's the story of Dylan, who's not a good kid. He's a prankster. He's a jerk. He pushes people around. He's not a bully, but he's the guy that the teachers have stories about because his brother was kind of a jerk, and his brother moved on and told him, you know what, man, now straighten up, fly right, get your life together because when I was there, I raised hell. Yep. But it's kind of too late for him because the faculty's already spread their rumors about him before he got to school.
They already have the target.
Yes.
On the back.
So you see in the interviews in this documentary, everyone's against him from the get-go. And that's why he was such an easy target for this particular act of vandalism. And the first person they went to, and they expelled him without any actual evidence.
Right.
But we get from this documentary that maybe he didn't do it. And
that's how they build it up in these crime shows too. It's like this is a troubled person. This one has every right to be guilty.
That's a new innovation, actually.
But based on past experience, but that doesn't make him exactly guilty in this case.
It doesn't, but that's a new innovation. That's been popularized by shows like Making a Murderer.
Yeah.
And I think Serial's the other one. Mm-hmm. But I've been watching crime shows forever. I've been watching documentary shows for a long, long time, and this one very well. First of all, this series is detrimented by the fact that they try to drag it out over a season. When you have maybe
8 episodes, right?
It's 8 episodes, half hour each, so it doesn't seem very long. But its structure is its main handicap because it follows the structure of a documentary. We have a lot of revelations, but a hook of the show is that all of this is playing out live. So while he's filming the different documentary segments, he's posting live to YouTube. So it's not a finished product. It's this week this happened, this week that happened, and that works against the general documentary. I guess, tenet of get your damn facts straight.
Right.
So he's reporting, okay, this happened, and then he'll find next week, oh, that was complete BS. Disregard everything we said and cited sources with and such.
Right.
And it took me out of it for...
Or basic journalistic anything, you know what I mean? Well, that's like, you kind of got to put the whole thing together before you present it. Or else,
and it's sold
you're
on...
wrong, there goes your credibility.
It's sold on the concept of these are kids, but I'm like, these are kids,
You're
true.
Stupid kids.
Well, not
just inexperienced, I guess.
Yeah, complete inexperience. But that's one thing I kept going back to, and once or twice is fine. That is great, and that just makes for good filmmaking because they're kids. You have them acting like kids, and it's written like something kids would do. Fantastic, but it's also advertising itself as a serious supposedly,
With a wink.
documentary on whether or not this kid did it. We're going to collect facts, we're going to find truths, we're going to put together pieces. Great. They're re-putting together the same pieces over and over again, and the time in between them is tedious. So you watch the first 5 minutes of an episode, you watch the last 5 minutes of an episode. That's the necessary portion. Everything else is like slow building filler.
So that's like basically how to speed read, by the way, too. You read the first paragraph and the last paragraph of every chapter, and then you get the gist of it, most likely. So you don't want to apply that to a TV show because it doesn't say much for the series.
No, and what gets me is people love this, and I think that's also it's gotten rave reviews so far. I've been checking out some of the other journalists' opinions.
People's taste is gone. Everything doesn't have to be so great and groundbreaking, whatever. They can't. Something needs to be good, like okay.
Well, I think this is this is more along the lines of mimicking the success of Serial and the formats of making a murderer.
Definitely a send up of all that.
But from more of a Napoleon Dynamite point of view.
Yeah.
It's definitely that fair on like, well, this is a cheap little neighborhood thing and this is how they interact and everyone hates each other and they've got their petty squabbles and we're gonna publicize all that. But that's the when it stopped being a documentary and started being an actual drama program. And the last few episodes is where it got me. That's the part that I'd recommend saying, okay, this is where you want to start the story because this is the real of this tale. And they show you how during the documentary, now we're getting facts and now things are coming out. And once you get past the tedium of each individual episode and you get the interesting part of the story, which you eventually do get to. I'm not going to lie, bored for a lot of this because it's like, I understand everything in the first few minutes. Cool. What's next? Oh, you're going back over the facts. Oh, he's re-examining. No, he's not. They're just, okay, they're going very slowly for, I guess, padding out reasons.
Yeah.
But after the documentary is where stuff really comes out. You get to see, and this was really great acting by the kids, and less so by most of the adults, but they're not really featured in this, so that part I understood. But I'm going to call out the main, Jimmy Tatro, Dylan Maxwell. He was the main focus of the documentary, and you get to see how his life is affected by this. He's intending to go to a certain college, how the community treats him after this, people that could come to his defense, how his past affects their opinion, and whether or not they choose to help him. All that was very interesting, but it's all like glossed over.
It's also high school, too.
It is. No, very much so. And the acting was fantastic. I wanted to see more of that, and I got so little. Because most of it was on this investigation, which I think could have been the most interesting, but ended up being the weakest part of this whole series. The acting by the kids was spot on, and a lot of dirty laundry was aired, and then you got to see the aftermath of what happens.
Well, you see that too. It's like we said with the kid's brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I grew up in a small town in Vermont, and I know like certain families like I don't trust that kid. His brother's a psychopath. You know what I mean? How that can be handed down.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be judged that way, especially by your teachers and stuff who have a bad association with you.
Yeah, my short stint in the Burbs showed me that the teachers have their own inner closed-in community.
Right.
Where once you're branded as something within that, like that carries on for
That's definitely
decades.
Like a generalization that holds up for any group, for any location as well.
Well, what's surprising is
definitely
when I got
suburbia because it's the smaller community. I guess.
Well, elementary and middle school, like that was my world, but I moved back to the bigger city for high school, and it was completely different. Like the teachers hated each other. They've got their lives outside of school. They were there.
Well, there's that,
job.
and then like
they didn't interact with
bigger. You know what I mean? There's less community, I guess.
Yeah, that
so
too.
Like,
and
this guy's just not doing his job. He doesn't give a damn.
Yeah, so this focused on a lot of the faculty protecting each other and some of them airing each other's dirty laundry and a lot of shady, seedy stuff happening in the community. But it loses the documentary itself. And I mean, that's the documentary. If you're following that part, that's where the documentary itself is less credible. As a story and as a series, American Vandal, it fails on that aspect because it focuses so much on being that mockumentary. That pseudo serial, that pseudo
satirical stand up, those things.
That the concept of it's still entertainment. I'm still watching this to get the story of these kids. It's not just about the documentary's over, the story's over, because the documentary's over, but you still have 2 episodes to go.
Yeah.
You know, and the drama that they filled in there was the more interesting part of the series. Because of that, honestly, I'm afraid I can't recommend it, and it kind of hurts to do this because it's a production of mostly kids. And mostly kids that do good work. Their acting is good, but they're acting in a really shoddily put together story.
Yeah.
And that kind of bumps me out. I'm hoping also because Jimmy Tatro, the kid who played Dylan Maxwell, did a great job. You may recognize him as the he was the red herring suspect in in 21 Jump Street in 20 this is the second 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street,
22 Jump Street?
In 22 Jump Street. He's the kid that had the red mohawk that they thought was the original criminal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that guy. So I'm really hoping that that's not his personality. I'm hoping he's like some Shakespearean.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think it's
like Ivy League educated, upscale. Because he's getting typecast as these like base bully meatheads, and I'm hoping that's not him because he plays it a little too well. But I've got to give
maybe that's why.
Yeah, I got to give us a thumbs down. And I was really hoping I wouldn't have to because it sounded like the most interesting thing in the world going in. I'm like, oh, this is innovative as hell. Let's do it. And then especially because Netflix has been knocking them dead lately.
Not 100%.
But mostly. So I got to give it a thumbs down. It's an unfortunate thumbs down, but that's what it is. It is what it is. But still, people may want to check it out. It's been getting a lot of positive reviews, and everyone's really enamored with the serial esque. Well, I've mentioned that show like 10 times already.
Yeah.
But that's specifically what they were going for, and it's got more of that feel, but that doesn't make it a good crime show.
Cool.
Doesn't make it a good crime show.
Yeah, I would give it
probably
a thumbs halfway up.
Yeah, but we can't do that. It's
so
thumbs up, a thumbs down. I gotta make the hard.
It's a binge worthy show. I think it's like 8 episodes, a half hour. I think.
Well, you kind of have to.
Like,
if you have
the time, you know what I mean, and you're already sitting at home, eating pasta and you got sauce all over your chest.
You can do that. Watch it in good health, man.
So I'll give it a thumbs up to counteract.
You can't give a thumbs up to something you haven't seen.
I've seen it.
You haven't.
That's what I'm talking about.
You did? Did you watch it at the end?
Yes.
You did? Okay then. Okay, I guess a thumbs down for me, but a thumbs up from Adam. Did not see that coming.
I'm only saying it to go against you though.
Hey, look at that. It's a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Man, you weirdo. All right, well, okay, conflicting opinions here on the Geek Down. This has been the Geek Down here on WEMF Radio. Hopefully you are catching us also on twitch.tv/the Geek Down. If not, you can jump on there and follow us, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're all over social media. You can find us on twitch.tv/the Geek Down and watch the video. You can also see the videos then ported to YouTube. And, dude, we're on SoundCloud, iTunes. We are all over the mother. And if you go to Facebook, you can find us there in our shenanigans and antics. Join the group. You can also find us on Twitter. Man, you can't get rid of us. But for now, we're going to leave you. I don't know what that face Johnny's making, but it's frightening. All right, we'll catch you next. I can't do the intros. I'm going to record this. Peace.